These are all the Palestinians, so happy that they've survived this battle. Wait, hold on. So I'm receiving breaking news. Wait, apparently this isn't happening in Gaza. Apparently this is Times Square in New York City, apparently. Wow. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my gracious goodness. Wow, breaking news. It turns out this is not in Gaza at all, actually. It turns out this is somewhere else. Now, I'll be real. There are over 500 mosques in New York City. The fact that this is happening in Times Square is absolutely a show of domination and nothing else. All right, let's be real. It is. Okay, I'm not trying to be awkward here or anything, but that's absolutely what it is. Thanks for the 10 subs, Spacey Tracy. But turn down the volume. Nah, man, you have to hear it. You have to hear it. I'm just saying, you have to hear it. As a wise man once told me, when you hear a Christian say praise God, you're happy. When you hear a Jew say thank God, you're happy. And when you hear a Muslim say Allahu, okay, we're not going to finish that sentence. We're not going to finish the joke. Some jokes do not need to be completed. Definitely subscribe to hear the rest of the joke in a future episode. All right? Okay, all right. Anyway, so this happened one day. As you can see, this happened a different day.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Not my style of music personally, but this is a thing apparently where they just gather in Times Square and they do stuff like this. All right, this is also New York. This is just happened.
Allahu Akbar.
It's very loud.
La ilaha.
It is kind of weird. I mean, like 550 mosques and Islamic centers, and they are literally out there in public in New York. So I wanted to talk about the Islamification of New York and how fucked we all are. All right, so today we're going to be talking about Zoran Mamdani. He is the guy that is currently running for mayor. He is actually in the very likelihood that he will be winning the election and he will be the mayor of New York City. He is a radical Muslim communist, and it's almost like it's an invasion or something. I'm not saying it is, but it's almost like it is. Now, also, I want to make this very clear, very, very clear. I am not racist here. Because Islam isn't a race, it's an ideology. So technically, it's not racism, all right? Now that's and also there's a lot of just Muslims out there that are just kind of trying to do their thing. But there are also a lot of radicals that, I mean, last time I could think of a Muslim flying into New York, it was definitely a day that we still talk about today. Anyway, Charlie Kirk tweeted this. This is New York. We are being conquered, and they are rubbing it in our face. Islam is enveloping the West. Dude, I miss Charlie Kirk, man. I really miss Charlie Kirk. Yeah, this is wild, man. So, let's be real. No one is surprised that these people are all going to be voting for Zoran Mamdani. Right? So, this has always been the strategy for the left. It's simply get a lot of immigrants in one place and get them all to outvote the natives to put their puppet into office. Like, it's so obviously the strategy. Why are you calling it the left? It's Islam. How did they get here? I'm not trying to be rude, all right? I'm not like saying this from a racist place or anything. But how did they get here? All right? So anyway, I wanted to give you a bit of lore. This is a Muslim pro-Hamas guy. I say pro-Hamas. He's literally wearing the Hamas headband. This is a terrorist. He is in New York City. Let's hear what he has to say.
Fighting the Zionists. Yeah. Omar, are you going to go kill Jews?
I'm not going to kill Zionists.
You're gonna...
Guy asks him, are you going to kill Jews? And his response is, no, I am going to kill Zionists. You literally have a guy wearing a garb of a United States designated terrorist organization in the streets of New York talking about killing Zionists, which for the record just means Jews, according to these people. Like, and also all Christians that think that Israel has the right to exist. That also counts. That also counts as a Zionist. But dude, like, why must we let these people on our streets? Are you insane? Like, are you insane? Why do we need to tolerate this? I'm gonna kill Zionists.
Kill Zionists? How many Zionists do you want to kill?
As many as I can.
As many as I can. He is just so confident. He's just so casual to say this because he knows that this is literally just my god, dude. It's insane because he knows there's not going to be any consequences to this. Like, he knows there's no consequences to this shit. You can just say it until eventually they take over, man. So this is Nate Friedman. Nate Friedman does street interviews, and he asks somebody about Hamas. All right, now first I have to show you the voter base of Zohran Mamdani before I show you what happened most recently with Zohran Mamdani, the guy who collaborated with Hassan Piker to run for mayor of New York City. Yep, it's happening. We're getting taken over.
You were next to Hamas headbands. Do you support Hamas? Because you're next to them.
To be honest, if you want to tell me true, I wish I can take position Ismail Haniyeh one day. I wish.
Ismail Haniyeh was a leader of Hamas. He is dead. He died like a rat. He's the guy that orchestrated the October 7th massacre. For the record, he wishes he could be a martyr and die like Haniyeh, the guy that started a war and murdered a bunch of Jews, and then caused an entire massive war to take place in Gaza and kill 60,000 Palestinians. He wishes he could have been the guy to kick that off.
I can be a leader like that.
Personally, I don't want him in my country, this guy, personally.
I wish you could be like Sinwar.
I can get this position for myself. I wish.
You want to be a leader of Hamas?
I wish. But I don't have this capability.
Inshallah.
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 Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Now
Why on earth is this guy in our country? Why do we open the red carpet for these people? Like, dude, Hamas has killed dozens, if not hundreds, of Americans, let alone Israelis. All right? Protests around the world, screaming and shouting and crying about people losing a war that they started. Like, again, it's really sad, but unironically, it's not as sad as, like, a lot of the other tragedies going on in the world, but they care about that one specifically. Like, it is so obviously a subversive operation. Like, this is insane.
Cheers for many organizations, one of which is called Within Our Lifetime. Now, Within Our Lifetime made a map of Jewish businesses to avoid in New York City, straight out of the 1930s. They were the ones responsible for the Rockefeller Center tree lighting protest, displaying swastikas. Now, Within Our Lifetime has also chanted, "Strike, strike, Tel Aviv."
Mostly peaceful striking Tel Aviv.
Within Our Lifetime is funded by an NGO called Westpac. Westpac's revenue from 2020 to 2023 has spiked from $411,000 to $2.3 million. Much of their donations have been masked, though, like this one, $180,000 donation from Fidelity's charity gift fund.
The charity is funding terrorists in the streets of New York City.
Donors do this through something called a donor advised fund, the same type of fund Roy Neville Singham used to donate to the People's Forum, but he got caught. Now, Westpac hosted former Congressman and squad member Jamal Bowman and then AOC at a company event.
The fall of Western civilization. They want them all to come together so that they could, contribute to the downfall of Western civilization.
The CEO of Westpac has said the attack
from... It's a white woman. Of course. Or at least a sort of white woman.
Gaza has a context. Decades of constant violence, pogroms, expulsions, and apartheid inflicted on Palestinians.
Running defense for the October 7th massacre that started the war that killed all these Palestinians. Dude, none of these people care about Palestinians. All right, it's insane. Like, they'll go out there yelling free Palestine and shit about Palestinians. Like, the October 7th attack, aside from being an unbelievable atrocity, butchering, murdering, and raping innocent people, it also triggered the entire war. Like, it literally triggered the entire war that killed all these people. If you are supporting the attack, then not only are you literally supporting terrorism, but you are supporting the thing that killed all these Palestinians that you're claiming you're supporting. It is insane to watch this happen in real time.
There is no context for rape. It may not come as a surprise at this.
For the record, there's a website called Hamas-massacre.net if you want to see what actually happened on October 7th. It has context, but in case you want to see what actually happened, you can go there. I warn you in advance, you might not want to go there if you want to ever sleep again.
Point, but George Soros gives Westpac money through
of course he does.
The Tides Foundation, and Soros gives money to Jewish Voices for Peace, which the
Jewish Voices for Peace is dude, see, I absolutely hate this shit because look, as a Jewish guy, whenever I see stuff like this, it makes me sick. Jewish Voices for Peace is not a Jewish organization. It is an organization based in Lebanon. It is a Muslim organization based in Lebanon that calls themselves the Jewish Voices for Peace. And it's obviously anti-Israel, which is insane.
President of Westpac fiscally sponsors 15 anti-Israel groups, including Palestine Youth Movement and the Student Justice for Palestine.
Right. So obviously, I hate all the every funding from out of the country. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's Israel lobby, Qatar lobby. I think that all these lobbying groups and shit, they all need to go. Every single one of them. Like, they're out here subverting people's actual and propagandizing people for no reason.
Now, the CEO of Westpac's husband and also the president of Westpac is, get this, Jewish. He hates himself that much.
How is it that you're
Yeah, unfortunately, we have those, and it's horrible.
always at the front of the protest?
Man, those woke Jews, man.
Do you get informed about the protest before it happens?
I like to lead. So I'm a chant leader.
You're a chant leader. How do you get that job?
I'm just doing it.
What?
I'm just doing it.
So what do you do for work?
I worship Allah.
Okay, is it what oh, you're a janitor.
I do whatever I can do for mosque.
Oh, so you work at a mosque.
Yeah, I work for mosque too.
Are you a US citizen?
No.
You're not?
No.
Here's Muhammad with
So this is a non-US citizen that is probably getting paid by Jewish Uncle Ruckus, all right? And by these woke Islamic funding groups to destroy our country, right?
Sheikh Mustafa, an imam who resigned from his position at the National September 11th Memorial Museum because the museum showed a film that linked global jihad to Al-Qaeda. He felt that it would cause low information viewers to equate Al-Qaeda terrorists with all members of the faith. The sheikh later on faced up to 15 years of prison time in 2019 because he swindled at least $140,000 while working as a tax prepper at an Ethiopian restaurant. Now, when Muhammad
Bro, we're so cooked.
was talking to me, he left out the part that he's also a manager of Galaxy Wireless Cell Corporation. One of the reviews on Yelp that they've gotten says these guys are a bunch of scam artists.
Later. How do you get that job?
I'm just doing it.
What?
I'm just doing it.
So what?
All right, and by these woke Islamic funding groups to destroy our country, right?
Sheikh Mustafa, an imam
That he's out there talking about how insane this is. It's almost like he's coming in here to subvert our democracy and turn it into...
About this. Quality inevitably declines when a service is offered for free.
Well, that's true.
Vagrants and drug addicts would camp out all day on New York's buses, especially in the winter. Parents would go afraid to let their children ride alone.
Absolutely.
Wealthier residents would find another way to get around, but poor New Yorkers...
Also, let's not forget that he wants to abolish all prisons. That's another thing he's running on.
...to depend on the bus would suffer the most. What do you say to that? Do you agree with that?
Well, I would say that they should actually look at the report of the 5 free buses we delivered across New York City. We didn't see an increase in homelessness. We did see an increase in New Yorkers riding the bus. We did see a decrease in assaults on bus drivers by 38.9%. And we also saw a decrease in New Yorkers who were having to take a cab or take their own car. They were actually getting on the bus. More than 10% of new riders were doing so. That's why we care so deeply about this, because of the fact that it can actually deliver economic, public safety, and even congestion relief to New Yorkers who are...
5 buses. What an unbelievable test. What an unbelievable test. You got 5 buses to do it.
Looking to take these buses.
I know that you're turning 34 on Saturday, and I want to talk about your qualifications. Some say you have never run a business in your life, so I'm curious. And President Trump said that you never worked a day in your life. You worked as an assemblyman, and you've had other positions in the government. But
I mean, let's not forget, he also was a rapper. And he rapped about how much he liked terrorists. This is a real thing, by the way, that he's done. I've covered it in my previous video.
what qualifies you from your life experience to run the largest city in the country?
You know, I want to take this moment because you spoke about President Trump, and he may be watching right now, and I just want to speak directly to the president, which is that I will not be a mayor like Mayor Adams who will call you to figure out how to stay out of jail. I won't be a disgraced governor like Andrew Cuomo who will call you to ask how to win this election. I can do those things on my own. I will, however, be a mayor who is ready to speak at any time to lower the cost of living. That's the way that I'm going to lead this city. That's the partnership I want to build.
Oh my God, he's talking to Trump. It's crazy.
See, but anyone across this country.
It's like, it's so obvious that he's literally fighting for the lowest common denominator, and the retards are eating it.
I think it's important because too often the focus on the needs of working class Americans, working class New Yorkers are put to the side as we talk more and more about the very kinds of corrupt politicians like Andrew Cuomo that
Don't worry, Mr. President Trump. I know you're watching this right now. So lower the cost of living. And I know it doesn't make sense, but we're going to do it. We're going to make sure everyone has less money, but more free crappy shit. That's right. It's going to be amazing.
delivered us into this kind of crisis.
So the question I asked you was what specifically in your background gives you the confidence that you can run a $115 billion budget and run this city specifically from your personal experience and your background?
I've been a state assembly member here in New York City. I've represented 130,000 people in Queens. And in the time that I've done so, I've not only delivered more than $100 million in increased bus and subway service, I've also secured $500 million in debt relief for working class taxi drivers. President Trump knows this. New Yorkers know this across the 5 boroughs. Taxis, as we're looking at them right here, are such a part of what we love about this city. And yet those same drivers were sold a lie about a ticket to the middle class if they bought a medallion. I stood with those drivers. I organized with those drivers. I went on a 15-day hunger strike with those drivers, and we secured $500 million in debt relief that allows those drivers to do more than just think about struggle.
This is like really sad. I'm not gonna lie. Like this is not any form of experience to run a city. This is crazy.
How many employees?
I didn't eat food all of Ramadan, and I prayed in Times Square. And a taxi driver once told me that he could afford an extra burrito, a halal burrito, and it was free because food is free now because we own all the food.
Employees would you be overseeing in the New York City government?
More than 300,000.
That's a lot of people. But thank you for answering the question. I know that you want to stimulate small business in the city, and we all walk around the city that we love.
Like, dude, this is, again, it's such a fraud. He's like, I want to stimulate small business, but also I want to open up giant government-owned grocery stores to gouge prices. The literal death of the small business.
And we see a lot of empty storefronts. So give me your plan on how you would do that.
You know, I've spoken to a lot of New Yorkers for whom their aspiration, their dream is in that small business. And I've told them that we are going to make it easier to not only open it, but keep it open. We're going to cut fines and fees by 50% because, as you said.
But don't worry, they're raising taxes. So they're going to cut fines, but they're going to raise taxes. All right.
We have a city government that has a $116 billion budget. It's not funded by charging a restaurant $25 a year for the right to sell a frozen dessert.
You think that the restaurants are closing down because of the $25 a year? Like, you realize this plays on both sides, right?
To streamline the regulations and rules that these small businesses have to adhere to. Because today, if you want to open up a barbershop, you have to fill out 24 forms, go to 7 agencies, 12 in-person activities. And furthermore, we're going to have a mom and pop czar, someone that'll help these businesses navigate through this. Because while we are holding these kinds of businesses to these kinds of rules, we're letting the most profitable corporations walk all over us here in New York City. And it's part of the problem where so many New Yorkers look around at the wealthiest city in the wealthiest country in the history of the world and asking themselves, there's all this money, why can't I afford $2.90 to even ride the bus?
So let me just quick question on that. And I want to.
Why are they all in New York, man? What's going on? You guys leave New York. Holy shit. Mass exodus.
Because it's obviously another big issue for New Yorkers. So a lot of individuals in this city pay more than 50% of their income in taxes. When you talk about a fair share, how much more than, what is the fair share? What's the?
I don't know. In my opinion, that is thievery. That is absolutely thievery. Are you joking me? You're working your ass off. You're paid minimum wage or something. You're paying half of that shit to taxes. What are we even doing?
Number.
I've said that we should increase personal income taxes by 2%.
Is fair.
And my point is this:
give up more than half of your income. That's
if you're making $1 million in New York City or more than that, you can afford to pay 2% more. And the reasons you can afford to do so is because that money will be used to better your quality of life as well.
Yeah.
Because when I speak to the wealthiest New Yorkers, I hear concerns about the cleanliness of the city, the quality of life in the city, questions of public safety. This money is the money that will be used to deliver on those things so that we can ensure that we have a return on investment for all of the money that we are raising and spending right here across the 5 boroughs.
I want to talk to you about public safety and your relationship with police. So just in terms of public safety, I want to go to an example first, because I hear from people that they don't feel safe walking home at night. There's drug addicts on the street, right around the corner here. You can walk around the corner and see people shooting up. A lot of garbage on the streets right now. The subway is something that people are really concerned about. Last week, 64-year-old Nicola Tanzi, who was a church leader, a pillar in his community, was brutally beaten to death. I tried to watch this video in preparation. It's very hard to watch. In a subway station in Brooklyn. 25-year-old David Mazaregos had a 20-inch sword. He's the suspect in this case. He was out. They lowered his bail so that he could get out. He was already waiting a trial for attacking someone in Chelsea. 33 past arrests. You were in favor of bail reform. Does that make you want to change your mind or think twice about reversing that?
This is a horrific incident, and it's the same video that I saw. And it's one that horrifies New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, and it's completely unacceptable. And what it makes me think about is the necessity of providing public safety in our New York City subway system and across the 5 boroughs. And also, how do we end the revolving door? Because when you look further into the case of whether this individual or so many individuals, especially those suffering from mental health issues, what we find is so often the only mental health system that we have that's functioning in the city is Rikers Island. 40% of the incarcerated population there are suffering from serious mental illness.
Are you insane? Are you absolutely insane? Stabbing people with a sword. All right, should we leave him in jail? And his response is, "This is so sad. 40% of criminals that are murderous dirtbags are actually mentally ill." Yep, that's right. We should let him out. Oh my God. Oh my God. And you know who's going to vote for him? All the mentally retarded criminals that want to be out of jail. Dude, this guy is literally coming in here to destroy our country, and it's so obvious. It is so obvious. Someone just sent me this Steven Crowder tweet from like an hour ago. Caught on hidden camera, Zohran Mamdani campaign citywide canvas director admits plan to force NYPD to defy ICE. Make it harder to deport illegals. He confessed coordinated socialist takeover of New York City. Reveals the Democratic Socialists of America is the backbone of the Mamdani campaign. Oh my God.
This just came out of nowhere. Like, not at all. Like, this has been a coordinated, volatile.
I know that's like a little contentious.
This what they think. You're a city employee. You get told what to do. Shut up. When did you get an opinion? You don't have talks. They talk. More importantly, it's not so much.
So anyway, obviously that's the plan. No fuck want to stop people from deporting the illegals so they could literally turn New York City into an Islamic shithole. It's kind of crazy how that keeps happening. Wow, I'm literally so shocked and surprised. He's the good guy, by the way, obviously, according to the retards in society, because they were conditioned by the media to think that this is a good thing. Fight back against those evil ICE guys that are trying to deport people from invading our country. Like, it is absolute insanity. Absolute insanity. For the record, for those of you that are unfamiliar with the Democratic Socialists of America Club, they are one of those guys murdered 2 Washington, D.C. Israeli staffers, Israeli Christian guys, executed on the street by someone that was part of the Democratic Socialists of America. Also, the guy that assassinated Charlie Kirk was tied to the Democratic Socialists of America. For the record, both of those were people tied to the Democratic Socialists of America. And those are the guys that are bankrolling this shit. This is insanity. It's so obvious that there's like a hostile takeover. And no one wants to talk about it.
That's the question. Why was he on the street?
Because we have a broken system.
They lowered his bail.
The broken system is that he's out.
He had a bail he couldn't pay. Then they lowered the bail, and then he could pay it. Imagine if you're this family. I mean, and they look at 33 prior arrests, and why? Why was this man on the street? What would stop him?
33 arrests, and they just let him out and he murders somebody. And his response is we need to let more people out of prisons because 40% of them are mentally ill? Dude, that's a reason to keep them away from society.
Your administration from being on the street.
Because what we would do is actually address the systemic problems that would ensure that someone who goes through the system this many times is actually, his issues are addressed, his issues are addressed,
We're gonna let him out of prison. Oh, it's a systemic problem, buddy. No, it's not that guy's fault. Nope, not that guy's fault. Nope, not that guy. Absolutely not. Nope. This is a nightmare. This is an actual nightmare.
Services are provided. Right now, all we have is going in and out.
Yeah, I know he's an Islamic terrorist that murdered a couple of Jews, but like in his defense, there's like this whole thing happening in Palestine.
Especially when it comes to mental health. I'll give you an example.
Where would he be?
Mental health.
Where would he be? In a mental institution?
He would actually be getting services from the first time that he was arrested, as opposed to having to go through them 33 times.
Oh, great! Oh, great! Taxpayer-funded therapists to every violent murderer and rapist. And they'll get a therapist as they get released from jail. Because he wants to abolish prisons.
Look at the New York Times. They did an investigation on 1,000 different...
I have to stop. These stats are obviously lies.
Incidents of violent crime in the city tied to mental health episodes. Yeah. They found that so many of those same New Yorkers were failed by the interactions they had with the city when they went for help, for mental health assistance. And that failure...
We found 1,000 psycho murderers, and we realized that if they would have been cured by the system, they wouldn't have been psycho murderers. This is unbelievable.
Here is a stain on our city, and it's a failure that I'm looking to fix.
Dude, New York City, like, this is the route to Gotham. Like, oh my God. He's gonna piss off a Bruce Wayne. I don't know, man. This is getting really scary.
By actually transforming this with the only comprehensive plan for public safety of any of the candidates. Because what we are going...
Also, you are crazy. Dude, this guy was released 33 times. Bro, 33 times. If this guy would have been locked up the first time, or the third time, or the 30th time, this wouldn't have happened. That's a comprehensive plan.
Going to do is put out a plan and a proposal that we have shared with New Yorkers to create the Department of Community Safety that would bring together all of these pre-existing silos that address mental health crisis, that address homelessness.
He's just literally saying buzzwords, and the college kids are like, oh my God, that guy with the sword that murdered somebody really could have been like a contributing member to society if he would have gotten a therapist after his first arrest.
The one department, provide it with the funding necessary, and actually address this
Where do
crisis.
these people go, though, is my question. Are you going to put them in a mental institution so they can be taken care of? Or are you going to leave them at home on medication? What's the plan?
There's a plan right now that allows for involuntary confinement, which I think should be a last resort, because of the fact that when you look at the actual results, this is something that so often doesn't actually have what has been spoken about.
The point of the involuntary confinement, that's why you put these people in a hole. This is crazy. But of course, you have to realize, of course he's playing for the defense of the criminals. That's who's voting for him.
What we have today that actually works, for New Yorkers with serious mental illness, there are things like Fountain House. This is a clubhouse model, peer-led rehabilitative treatment for New Yorkers with serious mental illness. It costs $4,000 to have someone in Fountain House for a year. That's the cost of being on Rikers for 3 days. And what we see, however, is that those services, they increase employment by 50%, they reduce hospitalization by up to 45%.
But they're left in public and they could literally still kill people.
And they actually reduce the cost of healthcare as well for those same New Yorkers. This is what...
Literally not true, because it's being funded. Like, that is part of the healthcare.
We're looking at, this is why we say that Rikers is broken, the system is broken.
You can just see people who are suffering up and down 8th Avenue, just as one example. And I hope we'll have a chance to talk more about that next time. But I don't want you to leave without me asking you about your relationship with the police, because obviously this is a big issue. You said in the past, I almost don't need to go through it, it's been said many times, but that you called the police force racist, said they were a major threat to public safety, called them wicked and corrupt. And now the report that you apologized to 24 members of the NYPD. What did you say to them?
I apologized for the language that I used, and I spoke to them about the fact that I want to work with them to deliver public safety. Because what we're seeing in the city right now is we're asking officers to do nearly everything we can think of. We used to ask officers to focus on serious crimes. Now we're asking them to focus also on the mental health crisis, to focus also on homelessness. In 1 year alone, the NYPD receives 200,000 mental health calls. In 1 year.
Yeah, and you know what they told me? That 1 out of 3 of those, the person they're very, very dangerous interactions. You're going to send a social...
I love how these people think that it's like, because it's a mental health call, like they should just be left on the street. This is insane.
Worker in there?
You can always have a police officer actually come to address that. But look, you're saying 1 out of 3. 2 out of 3 times, if you don't need the police and you're sending them to do that, then why aren't you sending them to respond to shootings and murders? 5-6 years ago, the response time for officers was closer to 10 minutes. Now it's closer to 16 minutes. New Yorkers deserve a police department.
Yeah, it's a shithole.
That is asked to do the things that it can possibly do. Not
meaning stop the petty crimes, like just assault. I remember. There's a clip of him where he basically says we have to start only focusing on violent crimes, not little things like armed robbery. Like his big defund the police thing. He's like, we don't need police. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? 2/3 of the police don't even need them. Let me see if I can find this. Zoran robbery, because this take is easily the worst take I've ever heard in my life. This guy's a nightmare, by the way. I don't know if you're aware. This guy's an actual nightmare. I'm trying to find it, man. It's crazy. Well, here's one of them. Here's a banger.
That is the amount of money that will solve everything. It comes out of an understanding that policing is something that does not create safety. And what we need to do is reinvest into things that are proven indicators and creators of safety. And the city council budget did not do that. And it's just mind-blowing because that is the...
Policing does not create safety. Policing does not create safety. It's not even the clip I wanted. The clip where he says that armed robbery shouldn't be counted as violent crime. Whatever, I'm not finding it right now. But yeah, basically, we're kind of cooked.
One that covers the failures of every break in the social safety net.
So police officers that I spoke to, they don't want a behind closed doors apology. They want a broad public apology for the things that you suggested about them. Will you do that right now?
Absolutely. I'll apologize to police officers right here because this is the apology that I've been sharing with many rank and file officers. And I apologize because of the fact that I'm looking to work with these officers, and I know that these officers, these men and women who serve in the NYPD, they put their lives on the line every single day. And I will be a mayor that
What changed your mind about it?
You know, I moved to the city when I...
I'll tell you, because he's a communist. And continue with his takiya jutsu, where he does that like he's allowed to lie to the infidels, right? That's part of the culture. No, because this is some bullshit. Because he's like, yeah, defund the police, but also we need to fund the police, depending on who he talks to.
I was 7 years old. Yeah. I grew up here. And two of the things that I thought often about was safety and justice. And growing up here, learning about the case of...
Which is why we're abolishing prisons.
Exonerated 5, learning about Sean Bell, learning about Eric Garner, learning about Michael Brown. And then in 2020, the year where all of these tweets are referring to, it was the year when George Floyd was killed. And it felt like safety and justice.
George Floyd wasn't killed. He died of a fentanyl overdose. He was also a violent criminal that robbed a pregnant woman pointing a gun to her unborn baby. Why is he your hero? Remember, this is the guy that said that he refused to, condemn celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk.
Justice had never been further apart. And it was actually Eric Adams in 2021 who said that New Yorkers need not choose between these two things. Mm-hmm. And so one of my focuses was, how do we deliver that justice? And now what I know, having represented 100,000 people in Western Queens, is that to deliver that justice, you have to also deliver that safety. And that means representing the men and women in the NYPD. It means representing the black and brown New Yorkers who've been victims of police brutality. It means representing the Muslim New Yorkers in my district who were surveilled on the basis of their faith.
68% of...
This is insane. The basis of their faith means Muslims. He wants Muslims to stop being surveilled because it's racist to surveil Muslims, obviously. So, no, dude, do you even hear what he's saying? He's fighting for all the things.
Independent voters want more police officers on the street. And Cuomo, tomorrow night in that debate, he's going to say, I'm going to bring 5,000 more police officers to the street. Will you match that? and agree with him on that?
I don't look to Andrew Cuomo for leadership. And
Well, will you put 5,000 more cops on the street?
I've been very clear. I want to keep the number of officers that we have, and I want to make it easier for those officers to do their job. And
I'm just simply going to do the thing that we've been doing, except I'm going to be doing it a lot better. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. I have never heard of anything like this before in my entire life. It's like, oh no, we're going to keep doing the thing that we've been doing, except we're going to be doing it better in a way that everything is better now that we do it in this new way.
We've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages.
People use violent crime talking about robbers.
Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and
I can't believe we would be calling people violent criminals when they're just burglars, guys.
Happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling.
Yeah, he was literally trying to break into a different house.
So violence is an artificial construction.
No artificial construction, actually. Actually, this is like one of those very easy to define things.
And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence.
That's right, arresting criminals is violence, but criminals robbing people is not violence.
What that means is that we allow officers to focus on serious crimes, and for all of the focus on the head count, we should focus on the retention crisis. When I started running for mayor, 200 officers were leaving the department every month. Now it's 350. And a lot of them are leaving because there's simply no way they can do their job in what's being asked of them. And to your point, however, Andrew Cuomo is going to say a lot of things tomorrow night on the debate stage. And frankly, I wish it was more like NASCAR, so New Yorkers could see the billionaires that were sponsoring him right on his suit jacket. Because this is a man who had 10 years. And I know now that it's politically convenient, he watches Fox News as well. So I'll just speak to him directly. Andrew, you had your chance to lead this state. You took that time to sell out working class New Yorkers to your billionaire donors. And instead of actually meeting the needs of people who couldn't afford to live in the city, you gave $959 million in tax breaks to Elon Musk. And now you want us to believe that we can't spend less money than that to make every bus fast and free in the same city.
All right.
Bro, I would way rather have a guy funded by billionaires than a guy funded by the Muslim Brotherhood. In my opinion, humbly, this is not even close to this. It's like, you're funded by billionaires. I'm funded by trillionaires in the Muslim Brotherhood and Qatar royalty. Yeah, we are not the same.
I'm squeezing two very quick ones here,
Absolutely.
if you can answer them quickly. Commissioner Tisch, you have suggested that you want her to stay. Have you asked her to stay? And has she said yes? Because I think that is one issue that would go a long way towards police retention.
I've said that I appreciate Commissioner Tisch's record of uprooting corruption in the upper echelons of the NYPD. Yep. I've appreciated her presiding over drops in crime across the city, and I continue to actively consider her to be my police commissioner. I haven't made any personnel commitments.
Okay, so you don't want to ask her right now?
No. That's the kind of conversation I would actually have in person, in private, not a politics of theater.
Okay, it's an issue that a lot of people brought up with me when I told them I was going to be speaking with you. Last question. You want to have a World Cup czar. I know you're a huge soccer fan, Arsenal fan. I have a lot to learn about soccer. I'm happy to admit that. And I look forward to learning more. That would be great. What is this World Cup czar going to do for New York City business?
Great question.
The World Cup is the largest sporting event in the world. And
Bro, you are raising taxes for this shit. Like, this is insane.
It's as if no one has been thinking or talking about it here in New York City government. It's coming next summer to this city. We're going to have billions of people watching. The World Cup czar is going to ensure that this is a tournament that New Yorkers remember as well, not just those who visit us. That it's a tournament that will signify an increase, not only in tourism, but for small businesses and an exploration of this city. Because for too long, we have had these kinds of opportunities that we've just passed up on. I mean, we recently had the 400th anniversary of New York City. Most people have no idea.
Right, good point.
Because the city didn't do anything about it.
Well, you know, President Trump's going to make a huge deal out of the 250th anniversary of New York City. So maybe there's an example there. And he and his family, his son is a huge soccer fan. So would you welcome them to New York to enjoy the World Cup with you?
I would welcome them to come to New York City and also to talk about how we can actually lower the cost of living, because that has to be the focus. And frankly, that's a promise that's been broken.
This is crazy.
And that's what I'm running to do.
This guy's insane.
Saron Mamdani, thank you very much.
This guy's crazy. Apparently, there was another clip that he said on Fox News that a lot of people told me I needed to see. They asked him about Hamas.
affordable for each and every New Yorker.
But okay, I want to get to that absolutely. But do you believe that Hamas should lay down their weapons and leave the leadership in Gaza?
I believe that any future here in New York City is one that we have to make sure that's affordable for all. And as it pertains to Israel and Palestine, that we have to ensure that there is peace. And that is the future that we have to fight for.
But you won't say that Hamas should lay down their arms and give up leadership in Gaza.
I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond.
You literally ran your campaign on Free Palestine. You literally said that if Netanyahu ever showed up in your city, you would arrest him. Your campaign, you literally did an entire movement saying globalize the intifada and support Hamas. I think this guy might be a terrorist, guys.
The question of justice and safety, and the fact that anything has to abide by international law. And that applies to Hamas, that applies to the Israeli military, applies to anyone you could ask me about.
Okay. One last thought on that. You have said that you would arrest Netanyahu if he came to the United States. You've been very outspoken.
Yeah, which is insane. He can't do that, obviously. Zoran is a pathological liar. He created a Students for Justice in Palestine chapter in 2013. He has extremely strong opinions about the future of Hamas. He's lying. Yeah, I think this guy's a terrorist, and I think he's making an entire group of laws to run defense for terrorists in New York City. We're getting Islamified, baby. It's time to wake up. Like